All right, you do have a quorum. All board members are present.
All right, well, should we go ahead and get started then?
Yes, we should.
Welcome to the December 10th regular board meeting of the Urban Redevelopment Authority of Pittsburgh, our last board meeting of 2020. Nice to say the last anything of 2020, I feel like these days. First, we're going to go through public comment and then the approval of minutes from the November meeting. And I think we have just the two public comments that I'm aware of. Hold on. So I have public comment submitted by Myrna Newman, which reads, oh, sorry, I missed one. Public comment was received by Daniel Perla regarding homeowner assistance program, which funded work that was performed on Mr. Perla's home. And that was withdrawn. Okay. So the first substantive public comment is from Myrna Newman, who says, it was recently brought to my attention by a Hazelwood resident that the URA is considering selling lots along Chance Way to Oak Moss Associates LLC. While I'm grateful for their efforts to renovate the historic Woods House into a pub and support the idea of development in Hazelwood, I'm concerned about the location of this particular development due to its location in a proposed greenway. Between 2010 and 2015, our organization spent quite a bit of time in this area of Hazelwood, removing a total of 15.6 tons of trash and 300 tires from the green space between Sylvan Avenue and Monongahela Street or Chance Way, and another 7.7 tons of trash and 269 tires from the wooded green space between Gladstone and Sylvan Avenue. We were actually under the apparently mistaken impression the wooded area between Chance and Sylvan had already been designated as part of the greenway. Regardless of that official designation, it was clear that the community valued and wanted help in cleaning and preserving this green space. It seems that the interest in preserving green space in Hazelwood has only increased in recent years. In the 2019 neighborhood plan, strengthening the quality of Greater Hazelwood's green spaces was a primary infrastructure goal. Developing this wooded green space that is adjacent to an existing greenway was identified by the city as proposed greenway is counter to the community's plan. Developing this green space, this is what it says. Developing this green space is counter to citywide and regional plans as well. The city's climate action plan calls for increasing tree canopy by 60% and halting tree canopy loss due to development. The city, Greater Pittsburgh area, state of Pennsylvania, and the US all have goals to increase tree canopy, understanding that forested green space is vital to the health and well-being of communities. Cutting down existing hardwood trees for this development would be inconsistent with these goals. Hazelwood also has no shortage of vacant or abandoned lots. We cleaned many of those in 2015 also. Wouldn't it be better to build on existing vacant lots that aren't forested? Not only would that fit with community and regional goals for tree canopy and green space, but it would also help fill in the missing teeth of the neighborhood, aiding in general revitalization. Our organization spends much of our time, energy, and other resources on removing trash from the wooded hillsides of Pittsburgh because they are iconic to Pittsburgh, provide opportunities for recreation and enjoyment, serve as critical wildlife corridors, and are vital to the health and well-being of our residents. Please help preserve these woodland spaces by agreeing to halt the sale of lots along Chance Way for development by Oak Moss Associates LLC. And Myrna Newman is identified as the executive director of Allegheny Cleanways. And the other public comment submission we received was from Megan Confer Hammond, who is the interim executive director of the Fair Housing Partnership of Greater Pittsburgh. She writes, for the last URA board meeting of 2020, my comment is generally applied to the URA as a whole. Pittsburgh is at a crossroads. As we await the federal transition and the new HUD leadership, including locally, fair fair housing groups nationwide convened in the past month discussing affirmatively furthering fair housing and anticipated HUD policy changes. As always, I asked the URA to understand how its development decisions impact our city's inequity. Over 50 years ago, our country was at a civil rights crossroads. Our Congress wrote the AFFH provisions, that's affirmatively furthering fair housing, to compel meaningful change within our decision making. We're still awaiting our regional governments and other decision makers to make good on that commitment. For example, in 6E, the low-income housing tax credit applications, a new construction project is proposed for those who are 62 years of age or older that is entirely one bedrooms. Within housing for older persons, housing for those who are 62 and older is much more restrictive than housing for those who are 55 and older. Additionally, the project's siting is in a neighborhood with the lowest by far Black alone population as per census of the 4 proposals. Again, such a development strategy is historically known to maintain or deepen pre-existing racial segregation. Additionally, purse strings are needed to impact affordable housing management that is in place after construction. The privatization of the region's affordable housing is resulting in private companies cherry picking the impoverished population that they serve. For 2021, I asked for equity in our affordable housing development. I believe that those are the only 2 public comment submissions.
That's
Anything else?
correct.
That's it. Okay. Thank you very much. And we move to approval of the November 12th, 2020 board meeting minutes, which have been distributed. Entertain a motion for approval from another board member.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Great. And so we begin with the some announcements on RFPs, RFQs, RFIs, and bids. Diamante?
First up, we have Evan Miller.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm here to talk about the East End Housing Development Program. This program mobilizes funding for the creation and preservation of affordable housing, specifically in the East Liberty TRID boundary. The program is funded with just under $3 million in pledged tax increment from the former Penn Plaza site as part of the East Liberty TRID. Beginning this past spring and summer, we worked with members of the El Tridra Housing Committee, which includes Bloomfield Garfield Corporation, Friendship Community Group, ELDI, and the city to draft program guidelines. And those guidelines were finalized and approved this fall. As a refresher, the program aims to fund shovel-ready projects that are going to bring units online to serve renters at or below 50% of area median income, and home buyers primarily at or below 80% area median income. All the development teams need to either be nonprofit entities or they could be a for-profit developer with a nonprofit partner. The URA is administering this program on behalf of El Tridra, and the proposals are going to be received at the URA, underwritten and reviewed by the staff, and the projects will then be presented to the El Tridra Housing Committee, who will provide a recommendation to the El Tridra Board. The El Tridra Board has the final approval for these funds and the projects that it goes towards. So obviously we'll keep this board updated as commitments and closings take place throughout the coming months. So the RFP is going to be released on Wednesday, January 6th, 2021, accepting proposals on a rolling basis. The RFP is going to be on the URA's website and bidding platforms, and we'll make sure to promote it via our communications team, get it out on social media, and we'll be distributing it to our affiliates throughout the community. So that's a release date of January 6th, and I'll turn it over to the board now. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions about that?
A little bit the new feature, the funding for sale units.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So that came from the housing committee that Basically, they were concerned about what, the buying power of someone who's between 80 and 100% AMI in that neighborhood is, might not be at what market rate is right now. So they wanted to see higher affordability than what we traditionally have with programs that we're offering, which is typically below 80% AMI. So that's why we were able to work out a way to get it up to 100% AMI. That's if they have a majority of units under 80%, they kind of like unlock the ability to get more funding for those units between 80 and 100.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. No action needed. This is an announcement.
Right. Any other questions? No. Okay. So then a few more additional announcements. Got a Catapult update.
Josette?
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to try to do a quick update on the Catapult program, but we have a lot of really good information to tell you guys. The first is just kind of looking at the numbers. We know that Catapult's been around since early 2018, and we're looking forward in 2021 in particular, thanks to funding from both the URA and from PNC Bank. We are going to see a year of growth in the program. So just looking at it right now by the numbers, some key things is this program has been 100% MBE and 90% of that is women-owned businesses. A couple of other key numbers, 8 of the businesses of the 28 businesses that have gone through the Catapult program so far have also been involved in our Get Online, Grow Online program. We like to see it when we have multiple touches with a business. So these businesses are utilizing URA resources in different ways. And actually one of the businesses is one of the TA providers for the GoGo program. And also these businesses have received over 500 hours of mentoring from the technical assistance provider, Paramount Pursuits. And also, before I go forward, just know that none of this would be possible without our partner, Circles Greater Pittsburgh. They're really responsible for the day-to-day management of the Circles of the Catapult program. Now, moving forward, our new location at the Gallery on Center in the Hill District, recruitment of that is underway right now and will be through the end of December 2020. So if any of you know businesses that may be interested, please send them our way, and we will connect them with the folks at Circles to fill out an application. The cohort will begin virtually in early February. And also in terms of the Gallery on Center itself, the space renovations will be happening in Q1 and Q2 2021, hopefully to be completed in Q2 and be able to do things in person by that point. Just a note, the staff at Circles also really pivoted everything this year to virtual. So all of the meetings, all of the mentoring sessions, everything has been done virtually this year. And then continuing on the Gallery on Penn in East Liberty, the 3rd cohort is beginning in January of 2021. The 2nd cohort had their virtual graduation on Monday night. And a key item here is that East Liberty Development Inc. sold the building that housed the Gallery on Penn. They had been providing space at a really, really, really discounted amount of $5 a square foot. That's about an 80% discount on what other retail rents are in East Liberty. Part of the condition of the sale was that the new owners had to agree to a 10-year lease for the Gallery on Penn at the same rental rate. So for the next 10 years, the program will be right there where it was at the same rental rate of $5 a square foot. During renovation over the next about 18 months, as soon as we are moved to being able to do things in person, the gallery on Penn will relocate to a temporary space on Penn Avenue. That space is to be determined. Then looking forward also to 2021, be doing a food cohort, partnering with Food 21. Circles is also starting a Catapult Kids youth cohort. And then we will be starting planning at the end of 2021 for a program in Hazelwood. All right, next slide, please. And then this is the fun stuff to tell you about. First of all, several Catapult businesses have been showing their wares at other venues, expanding beyond just the gallery. And the I Made It Market, Steel City Craft Emporium, Love PGH, and also most recently in the Black Market Holiday Edition downtown on Smithfield Street. The businesses also participated in Black Friday and Small Business Saturday events at both galleries. About 17 of the businesses participated in those, and they actually had a really good weekend. It was live streamed and it went really well. And then a couple of spotlights on businesses. We have a lot of really great businesses that have come through this program. Excuse me, but two that I want to highlight right now is Kin of Duncan, which is owned, I'm sure you've all heard at this point, Kin of Duncan is owned by Jasmine Bates, who is 14 years old. She's a graduate of the first cohort. She is also participating right now in the GoGo program, and she just launched her website. And she is being hired part-time by Circles to organize the Catapult Kids program. So she's kind of, she's one of our stars. I fully believe that someday we're all either going to be working for or voting for Jasmine at some point. So that's one of our highlights, and you can see her pictures and her website there. Just an aside, that is my dog in the picture. I have to admit that I buy clothes for my dog there. The other is Royally Fit LLC. A Queen Watkins Wise is the owner. She just graduated in cohort 2. She's also a GoGo participant. And she has really grown her business and really grown her online. She does health and wellness, both products and coaching and classes. And one note from her, she is listed on the URA website. We have a virtual gallery on Penn listing for folks to go to. And in doing her metrics from third quarter 2020, she realized that actually a little more than 10% of her time, of her referrals came from the URA website. So I just got the note from Diamante, and that is actually it. I'm done. If anybody has any questions about Catapult, then we can move on.
No question. Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you for all the tremendous work. I would just ask that, particularly for the one that you're recruiting for in the Hill, if you have a flyer or any information, if you would send it out to us so we can help promote it.
We can do that. We can do that.
Thank you.
Thanks. Great updates. We're going to move on to Dana, I think, who's going to tell us about the Season to Shop Small social media campaign.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. So as part of our ongoing efforts to support our business loan borrowers during this challenging year, we are running a social media campaign over the course of December and January. Our goal is to drive URA followers and their friends to small businesses by promoting their holiday sales and seasonal promotions. All of the participating businesses have been previously supported through URA's lending programs, so we're eager to spread the word about their products and services. And this also just serves as a reminder to the Pittsburgh community to step up and support their local retail and food and drink and other businesses that brighten and serve our neighborhoods. So be on the lookout on our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages to learn how you can safely support them.
Great, thank you.
Dana.
And now, that time of year when you get some retirements. Jessica?
Yes, yeah, this is going to be hard for me to do. So one thing that I really love about working at the URA is that I work with a group of extremely dedicated and compassionate people that really make it their career and their life's work to help Pittsburgh residents. And one such person is Colette O'Leary. Can't believe I'm saying this. On December 31st, Colette will be retiring after 42 years at the URA. She started her career doing consumer loans, but she has done pretty much everything in the realm of housing. She worked with Manchester Hope 6. She worked in East Liberty with the Federal American High Rises. For those of us that remember the high rises, the 3 high rises. And then most recently in the last 7 years, she has worked diligently in Larmer with the Choice Neighborhood Project, including the Homeowner Facade Program for, she's helped 90 homeowners get their facades renovated, and she has done it just with such dedication. Colette O'Leary, thank you for 42 years of service to Pittsburgh's residents. It's been an honor to work with you, and we are really going to miss you. And I'm going to pass it over to Colette to say a couple things.
Thank you, Jessica. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Great. I have a brief statement I'd like to read to you. First, I would like to say that I am grateful to the URA for hiring me 42 years ago. The URA was a perfect place for me to work while serving the residents of the city of Pittsburgh. Although I held different positions over the years, I was always in the housing department under great leadership, including directors such as Jessica, Tom Cummings, Dennis Davins, Steve Leeper, and many others. Over the years, I worked with very talented colleagues, way too many to mention. I developed lifelong relationships, including one of my best friends who I met the very first day that I started at URA, Marlia Gallagher, who I am in touch with regularly. Over the 42 years, as Jessica mentioned, I've worked on many different things. I worked under the consumer programs where I assisted city residents to purchase their first homes and or rehabilitate their homes. I also worked under the development programs, assisting developers with large developments that provided affordable housing for city residents. I will miss the URA, but I feel it is time for me to transition to the next chapter of my life and allow the new, very talented young staff to begin their careers. Most notably, this includes Sarah Shore, who will take over the majority of my existing projects. I'm certain that you will see great accomplishments by Sarah and a lot of the other young staff at URA. Although I did not work directly with the URA Board of Directors, I want to acknowledge their role in making the city of Pittsburgh a better place to live and work. Finally, probably 30 years ago, we used to call the URA urban, not the URA. And my 91-year-old mother, Claire, still refers to my place of business as urban. So in closing, I would like to say thanks, urban, and wish you all the best in the future. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you so much, Colette. Thanks for all your years of service and dedication, and we wish you the best of luck in your well-earned retirement.
Yes,
Thank you
Colette.
very much.
Colette, we are very grateful to your service over the past 42 years. It's remarkable. You've done an amazing job, and I wish you well in your retirement.
I thank all of you very much.
Sam, you mind if I say something?
Absolutely not.
Sam, Colette, I just want to thank you for your years of service. I've worked on you. I worked with you with several projects, and you were the consummate professional. And we've been in a lot of battles together. And I just want to thank you. And I just hope you have a great retirement. I appreciate all the years that you've given to the city. You truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. You've always been a big supporter and I've appreciated it.
Colette, it's Greg. I haven't had a chance to work with you very much, but I did really enjoy your tour of Larimer a few weeks ago, and your passion for the work and for the neighborhood is infectious. And if we can just bottle that stuff and keep a bit of that on our shelves here, we'd be in very good stead. So thank you for your years of service and best of luck in your retirement.
Thank you, Greg, very much.
What's your first priority in retirement?
Well,
Got any projects planned?
I have so many things planned, Sam, I can't even begin to list them all.
Well, enjoy.
But as I said, I will miss the URA very much.
Enjoy every moment of it.
Thank you again.
And stay safe. Thank you. I think, Jessica, I think we've got the housing dashboards.
Yes. Yes. So this is the housing dashboard. This is just our housing stabilization program. This is our rental assistance and our mortgage assistance program since COVID. Starting the new year, we'll start to show some of our other, programs as well. But today I wanted to just really highlight this one because, as some of you know, the CARES Act money that came through the state that went to the county is expiring here and ending at the end of the month. So, it's super, it's been super amazing really that we have had these resources from the city's Housing Opportunity Fund and also the city's CDBG funding that they've gotten through COVID to operate this program. So you can see here that we're at 1,100 households helped. Up there in the blue, 1,100 households helped, 85% minority households and 75% women head of households. And most recently, last week, council approved and the mayor signed another $2 million of CDBG CARES Act money to come for the program. So we have, with that 2 million, with what we had remaining, with another $500,000 that is in the HOF allocation, which is going to council for final vote next week. We believe we have enough to keep us operating well into 2021. As you also know, the eviction moratorium, is expiring here at the end of the year as well. So nobody really knows what that's going to mean. But we do believe that we have enough funding to keep, going for a while. We have 11 providers right now that are really working at full force for us. And I'm just super excited to say, we've helped 1,100 and want to thank the staff that is working diligently and passionately on this, Jeremy Carter and Brianna Benjamin and Bettina Haig. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Are there any sort of overarching themes in terms of the folks who we've had to turn away, the 827 who were ineligible?
Most of them are outside of the city. Really, that's basically it. There is some CDBG, rules and regs that we have to follow where we do have to use the CDBG, we do have to tie the crisis to COVID. We're trying to be as flexible as we can within the rules and regulations we're given on that. So in some situations, the providers have had to turn folks down due to that, but generally speaking, they then refer them to a provider that has the HOF funding because that can be, more flexible. So I would say about 75% of the turn downs is due to them just being outside the city.
Thank you. I agree. This is critical assistance that we're able to provide to families and to people clearly in a time of absolute crisis for them individually and for our entire country. So I agree with you. It's wonderful that we're able to, that you and your staff have been able to move these applications and get assistance to 1,100 families and individuals that really needed it. Also appears that the demographic data really speaks to ongoing inequities in the region and the economy. The fact that 85% of recipients who needed this this help in a crisis where minority heads of households and 75% are women, reveals some pretty serious flaws and structural inequity in our economy. Hard to see those numbers and that data without acknowledging that and speaking to it a little bit.
Yeah.
And Jessica, I wanted to ask also about the ineligible folks. Are we able to give them a warm handoff as well? So if they can't find funding here, are we making sure that we're passing them along to agencies or our county counterparts that are funding rental assistance programs?
Yes, we are working on that. In fact, I was on a meeting this morning with Department of Human Services and with Allegheny County. Unfortunately, for a little while, it's probably going to happen the other way, where they're going to be doing warm handoffs to us because of their program closing with the expiration of the CARES Act money. So we're revving up for that. But in the meantime, yes, our staff is well versed in the other programs and can refer people to Allegheny County Link. And they also, the front door to our program is 211, the United Ways program. And they also, will help make additional referrals as well. And additionally, the providers themselves have referrals that they make. The Urban League has, showed us the referrals that they make for when they do have to turn people down, especially due to CDBG compliance.
Yeah, that's helpful. I mean, like you said, with the county's money closing and the referrals coming back to us, there's definitely a concern, that for folks who don't qualify for our programs, no longer can apply to the county.
Right.
Points that were made before during this terrible pandemic and the economic crisis that spiraled out of it, there's not going to be anywhere to send folks if they live right above this, very porous boundary between us and some of the surrounding municipalities. So it's, more things to keep folks up at night. So.
Yeah, and I hope to have more to report on that in upcoming weeks because Department of Human Services, is very much trying to figure out an answer to that as well.
Appreciate it, Jessica.
Thank you. I think next up, is the commercial lending and investment dashboard. Unless
Hi.
you had any other questions. Sorry, go ahead, Rebecca.
Oh, any questions? No. Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. Colette, congratulations. I just want to give a shout out. She makes a great Killarney bread. I'll say that as well. But what I have here today is the commercial lending impacts dashboard for 2020. We have 46 loans closed totaling 4.27 million. I just want to note though, and I think that this was talked about at the last board meeting, but this number doesn't include the ELF and recovery lending, which is about 244 additional loans. So that's about 300 loans in 2020. Just a fantastic impact that the commercial lending department has been able to have in Pittsburgh. In addition, they've also supported a new CDFI, Invest PGH, which was formed in 2020. And that entity was able to close 6 microloans since July when it started its lending activities. You can move to the next slide. These are just a couple of highlights from our lending. So Trace Brewing, which is a brewery and cafe in Bloomfield, received $420,000 from the URA's commercial lending division, $400,000 in enterprise zone loan, $15,000 in COVID emergency lending, and $5,000 in a storefront renovation program grant. They offer a vocational program for aspiring brewers and are getting ready to offer contactless can sales. In addition, Digital DreamWorks was a recipient of $75,000 in a Pittsburgh Entrepreneur Fund, and they are hands-on educational technology for children. They've recently launched an animated series for robots at home with children. That's it. Any questions?
I don't think so. Thank you. Then the last one is Tom. Tom Link
Yeah.
is there.
I'm here.
There you are.
How are you? Yeah, thanks, Boyd. And real quick, unless Colette's already off on a retirement. Congratulations, Colette. And I've worked with you for a long time. I'm sure we'll chat later, but just a quick public shout out to Colette. Congratulations. Yeah, so for the board, this is really an announcement for the board. The board might recall back in, I think it was the early summer, we kind of made one of these announcements letting the folks know that the state's enterprise zone tax credit application was open and encouraging folks to, when I say folks, small businesses, business expansion projects to consider application to the tax credit program. Just in the last week or so, the state announced its awards statewide through the enterprise zone tax credit program. Just as a quick reminder, what is it? It's a state tax credit program that actually falls under the umbrella of the state's neighborhood assistance program, tax credit program, and it's a tool that provides, I'll say tax credit a lot, a state tax credit against basically capital improvement projects within enterprise zones across the Commonwealth that are job creating and permanent job creating. So generally speaking, we're talking about business expansion projects, small business expansion across the Commonwealth. One of the things we did here at the URA, and it's been a focus of ours the last several months, especially with everything that's been going on, is really aggressive sort of education outreach, really trying to make sure, our community, our small businesses are aware of tools that are available to them. So this year we were really aggressive with doing educational webinars, outreach, really sort of built a pretty strong referral system just to make sure folks who are eligible, who are interested, we basically had knowledge as to application, and we were pretty aggressive about that. So all that's to say, so with the announcements just in the last week, statewide, the city of Pittsburgh did really well. We actually received about it's almost $3.5 million total to city of Pittsburgh business expansion projects through the enterprise zone tax credit program. That represents about 30% of all the enterprise zone tax credits statewide. So we did really well, and we're excited about that. You can see the list of the actual individual projects and businesses that are received the awards from the state. Several of these have we've worked with at the URA. Some we haven't. But as an example, the Sankofa Group, which is an action later in today's board meeting, it was one of the awardees. Astrobotics, which is actually a small business borrower of the URA's from multiple years ago when they were a very small company. They've grown quite a bit since, and the URA has helped to build a relationship. They've been able to achieve a tax credit for their expansion in Manchester and others. Just to give you some raw numbers here, this represents about a little over 1,000 jobs in projected job creation. And in total investment, it's well over, I'm gonna have to, my phone shut off on me. It's over $100 million in sort of total project costs that this represents. So $3.5 million roughly in tax credits towards that production. So just wanted to make that announcement. There's no action here, but wanted to give the board sort of visibility to that. And just quickly thanks team. I know that, from my perspective, I just told the team, hey, we need to let folks know this is out there and folks should apply and make sure people have the tools. Charles Hudson, Corinne, and others on the communications team really ran with that and built a pretty robust toolbox to help folks make sure they had that toolbox. And of course, thank the state, thank I know Representative Gainey, certainly from the board's perspective, and Governor Wolf and DCD for their consideration of these monies to help businesses here in the city of Pittsburgh. With that, I'll stop and certainly can answer questions, but just wanted to make sure the board and the public are aware of really what's I think really good news for our for the city in terms of this tool and small businesses, and not a small amount of money and a lot of jobs. And I'll just also remind, this is sort of part of our mission, to get word, it's part of a toolbox of education and resource provision to our small business community. We don't earn fees for this or anything like that. So we're really doing this as part of our mission to make sure that, our community is aware of tools. So I think with that, I will pause and certainly can answer questions and thank the board and thank everyone else for their support. So thanks.
Thanks, Tom. It's a great update and great news. Any specific questions from the board? That top one there is my my neighbors.
I forgot to, just real quick, just to recognize that, Midpoint is on here as well. I know that we were all aware of that project, but it was a project that, I think has an exciting potential for the city as one of the awardees as well. So thank you.
Yeah, that's great.
All right. That transitions us to the voting agenda.
Great. So just one note on on the voting agenda, the first public comment that we received that I read that talked about an agenda item in Hazelwood is actually not on our agenda for this month. So if the person who submitted that public comment is watching and waiting for that to come up, it's actually not on our agenda this month. I think it was on an agenda in a past board meeting in last month or the month before, but it's actually not an item that we're considering this month. Do have a number of items in residential lending and investments, starting with the HARP LLC, right? Yeah.
Yes.
And Evan's going to talk to us about this one. He's going to
Yep.
present this.
Yep, sure, I'll take this. So for this item, we're seeking authorization to enter into a $30,000 Community Development Investment Fund grant in support of phase 2 of Hazelwood Affordable Rental Preservation Program, HARPP for short, a 3-phased multi-year rental preservation strategy that's being undertaken by Hazelwood Initiative. HI has a sales agreement with Hazelwood's largest landlord to purchase 63 affordable rental units scattered throughout the Hazelwood neighborhood. The landlord is a retired firefighter and area resident who steadily acquired these units over the years and managed them alongside his wife. They're looking to retire and divest to the portfolio. Before Hazelwood Initiative came up with this plan, the portfolio had received a considerable amount of interest from out-of-town investors that likely had no intention of preserving affordable housing. So we're thankful that Hazelwood Initiative was willing to take this on. The 22 units in phase 2 will continue to provide affordable housing for the existing residents that are there right now. Currently, 11 of the 22 units are occupied by households at or below 50% area median income, and 7 are occupied by households between 50% and 80% AMI. The first phase was 22 units as well, and that closed in March of 2020. And it actually had a $400,000 loan from the Housing Opportunity Fund's rental gap program. So we're glad to see that Hazelwood Initiative could make phase 2 come to fruition and cobble up some other sources and kind of lower the utilization of the URA funds, given our things are tight always, but especially now. So other sources, there's a ton of philanthropy dollars in this from area foundations. PHFA, their FAIR program is involved. Bridgeway Capital is providing permanent financing. And then one thing I do want to point out to the board today, a pending source is about $480,000 grant from the Federal Home Loan Bank's Affordable Housing Program. HI expects to receive a final commitment on that. However, FHLB is not announcing that until next week. So this authorization, should it be made today, would be contingent upon receiving that affordable housing program money. So I'm going to stop myself there. Dave Bruton from the Hazelwood Initiative, I believe, is on the call as well. So I'll turn it over to the board and Dave if there's any comments.
I think this is a great project and really incredible work by Hazelwood Initiatives to step in and acquire all these properties in order to be able to preserve affordability in the neighborhood. Dave is on the line. I'd love to hear it directly from you.
Also, can we go to the other slide, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I have unmuted.
There you go.
Yes, I want to say thank you to the board for considering this request. It's exciting for us to know that it's just $30,000 to put the last dollar in on 22 units. 19 to go next year. We're optimistic about that as well. And I want to just add my voices to wishing Colette all the best. Your human kindness to us is unforgettable, Colette. And we have a spreadsheet around here that we use to track our projects, and we refer to it as the Colette spreadsheet. So we love you and wish you all the best. And I'd be happy to take any questions if there are any.
Doesn't look like it. So if there are no questions or comments, a motion to approve would be in order.
So moved.
Second.
Motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Jessica, back to you.
Yes, 2145 Center Avenue. This is a building right on Center Avenue in the Hill District across from the YMCA that Amacello Properties with the limited partnership name of Zephaniah Properties acquired and rehabbed into 6 affordable artist residential units and a ground floor commercial space. They are working with the Hill CDC as their master tenant. The Hill CDC has received foundation funding, and they also take the rents to pay the master lease on the building. But that is what allows it to be affordable to artists in the neighborhood. And basically, yeah, the next screen here shows the building. You know, what happened was the URA owned the property adjacent to it. And when we tore it down, it left basically part of our wall was still left on that wall. So Amacello came to us and asked if we could help put a party wall on the building. So the actions today are twofold. One is to enter into a party wall contract for $33,000. It'll either be through a grant to Zephaniah, or it might be just a direct contract with a contractor. Concrete Rose Construction is a minority woman-owned contractor who the URA uses for our home repair programs, and she gave us a bid for the party wall. The second portion of the request today is to enter into a grant agreement with the Hill CDC. It's called a Community Development Investment Fund. That's the same type of grant agreement you just heard about in Hazelwood. The CDIF fund is a program we use to help CDCs with their real estate projects. And so the authorization would be to enter into a $24,500 grant for them to do facade improvements to the building as well, because the building was recently redone, but the facade still needs some improvements to attract a commercial tenant. So those are the two actions. Are there any questions? I think David Serban is on the line from the Hill CDC. David, are you there?
I am. If you can hear me. Yeah, just want to say thank you. We're looking forward to taking advantage of these funds for the much needed exterior repairs in partnership with Zephaniah Properties. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. If there are no questions or comments, then a motion would be in order.
So move.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right. And now we're going to go to Brett Morgan and 215 Chun-Li Manor Drive. It's Dan.
So hi, everyone. Today I'm presenting 215 Chun-Li Manor Drive. It is located in the Stanton Heights neighborhood. It is the third of 4 total units that ELDI is rehabilitating that the URA is identified as eligible for neighborhood stabilization program funds. Just a brief overview of the NSP. It's a program that essentially was set up to provide emergency assistance to local and state governments, basically in acquiring and redeveloping foreclosed and abandoned properties that otherwise would become sources of blight within communities. So the URA was awarded $2 million in December of 2019 and has since been working with various CDCs to 1, identify eligible properties, and 2, create affordable housing opportunities. So regarding this specific unit, 215 Chun-Li Manor, it's a single family attached residence. It features 3 bedrooms and 1 bathroom, and it is approximately 1,196 square feet. Some history on the project: in October of 2017, ELDI was appointed as the conservator and has since been working to rehabilitate the unit. So to complete this rehabilitation, ELDI received a $136,000 primary first mortgage from Landmarks Capital, and now are seeking additional funding from the URA in the form of a $30,300 PHCF loan, a $50,000 PHCF grant, and a $50,000 housing recovery program second deferred mortgage. So the PHCF loan would have a 0% interest, 18-month term, and the second deferred mortgage would ensure that the unit does remain affordable for a period of 15 years to an 80% home buyer. And that's required by the NSP funding. So Shiva Matur is the project manager at ELDI, and he's on the line if there are any further questions regarding this unit.
Any questions? No, seems pretty, I think it seems pretty straightforward. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Great. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
You bet. And now Bettina is going to talk to us about assistance for the Pittsburgh project.
Yep, thank you. So we are seeking authorization to enter into a homeowner assistance program contract with the Pittsburgh project for an amount not to exceed $250,000. So the resolution published with this item on Tuesday had originally listed $150,000, but the correct amount is $250,000. And it has been corrected in the resolution that is before the board today. So the homeowner assistance program provides necessary home repairs up to $30,000 to households at 50% AMI in the city of Pittsburgh. The Pittsburgh project specifically is a nonprofit organization based out of the North Side. The organization has historically ran home repair programs in the past and has experience with this type of work, particularly on the North Side and in District 1. If approved, the Pittsburgh project would be able to provide assistance to approximately 6 to 9 households that are currently on the HAP waiting list right now. So joining us today, we actually do have 2 representatives from the Pittsburgh project to answer any questions the board may have. We have Charles Chapman and then Mark Paliota on the line as well.
Great. Thank you. Sorry. Charles or Mark, you want to add anything?
This is Charles. I just, again, appreciate the opportunity to present this before you guys. Pittsburgh project was a part of this program a few years back. And after some restructuring, are looking forward to an opportunity to be a part of it again.
And I concur with Charles. I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to be a part of this group. And I look forward to the renovations and the progress that we can help contribute to this process.
Great, thank you. Are there any particular neighborhoods you guys are focused on, or just?
It would be our desire to mainly focus in District 1 on the north side where our office is located.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Will you be targeting families that come through, the after school programs, or working with other, neighborhood groups that also do homeownership assistance programs?
So our understanding is that all the referrals actually come directly to this program. And so then they would get passed on to us. So we would be able to share it, with our constituents, folks in our after school program, folks part of our community. But ultimately they would have to be approved and go through the process that is set up by this program.
Right. And to add to that, we currently have a waiting list of 157 clients. And so we do have, I believe, about 16 applicants located on the north side waiting for construction to begin. So we will be starting off with 2 homeowners next week to go through the HAP orientation that would be assigned to Pittsburgh project if approved.
That's great. Any other questions? Well, let's get it moving. Motion to approve. Motion, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And back to you, Jessica. Got some
Yeah.
line pick applications.
Yes, so this is going to be kind of a multi-pronged action. I'm going to discuss next year's round of LIHTC applications, and then we'll need 4 exclusive negotiations actions as it relates to the applications. But first, just as a reminder, the Low-Income Housing Tax Credit Program is the program where Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency gets IRS federal credits, and they distribute them to affordable housing projects throughout the Commonwealth. There's a 4% credit and a 9% credit. The URA and the city have projects that use both. The 9% credit is more competitive because it brings in more equity to the project, and they have a once-a-year application for that. So in October, PHFA announced that the once-a-year application will be due on February 5th. So the URA issued a pre-app so that for 3 reasons. One reason was just so that the city and the URA was aware of what would be going in for credits. The second is because a lot of the applications will need preliminary commitments of funding from the URA. And then the third reason is a lot of the applications will also need some form of site control from the URA. So that's why we issued it. It was due in November, and we received 5. You can see the 5 pre-application projects there on this slide. Today, I am going to talk about exclusive negotiations for 4 out of the 5. All 5 do need some URA land as part of their projects. The one, the South Beatty Senior Loft, the one there in the middle, that one, we still need to have further conversations with the developer and the city and the parking authority. So that may be a future item. But so today I'm here to talk about the other 4 projects so that we can include exclusive negotiations in their PHFA applications. And as a reminder, when the URA sells land to a developer, there is either a 4 or 5-prong board approval process to sell the land. Sometimes we start with what's called hold from markets, which is just a very preliminary discussion. And sometimes we start with exclusive negotiations. But exclusive negotiations really means that the URA is not going to talk to any other developers or any other potential purchasers during the period of exclusive negotiations so that the developer can completely go through pre-development and figure out what the project's going to be and how to fund it. And PHFA will accept our exclusive negotiation letters as evidence of site control. So the exclusive negotiations actions today for all 4 of these projects will be good until November of 2021. They should be awarded. The PHFA will announce tax credit awards in the summer sometime in July or August. So if they are awarded, we will then extend it by another 9 months. But this will give everybody time to find out if they're awarded or not. So next slide, Daniel. The first of the 4 that I'm going to talk about today is the Hilltop Alliance Scattered Sites. This is a scattered site project in Allentown with Gatesburg Development and the Hilltop Alliance. So you can see it's scattered there primarily around Eureka Street in Allentown, and 17 of the parcels. So it's going to be a 31 unit, all affordable tax credit project. But 17 of the parcels needed for those 31 units, the city of Pittsburgh owns. So the city of Pittsburgh is going to transfer them to the URA, and the URA will transfer them to the project. So the exclusive negotiations today for this one is for those 17 city-owned lots that will go through URA ownership. Next slide, Daniel. Then the next is the Lecce School. This was the second application we received. This one is in the Hill District in Crawford Roberts up on Cliff Street, sort of overlooking the strip. This is a closed school, the Lecce School. The URA and the city, we own the lots next to the school. I think the URA owns 4 lots, the city owns 2 lots. The development itself is going to be 46 units, 42 units in the school, and then the new construction where you see 1, 2, 3 there on the site, 1, 2, 3, 4 there on the site plan, that's the new construction. of 4 townhouses as part of the project, but the action would be exclusive negotiations for the lot and blocks that you see there on the slide, which is primarily will be used for side yard space for the development. The third development is Cedarwood Homes. This is in the neighborhood of Ferrywood in District 2, and this is on the land of the former elementary school that has since been torn down, and the URA owns it. So the URA did an RFP about 9-10 months ago. We received 3 developers interested in it. There was a large community process that was utilized to select Trico, who is the developer of the adjacent rental units to this site. And Trico is forming Cedarwood Homes LLC to build a 46-unit senior affordable low-income housing tax credit development on this site. I do need to note here that the exclusive negotiations for this will be contingent upon successful negotiation of a sales price between the URA and Trico, because that has not happened yet. Next slide. And then the fourth project I'm going to talk about today is the 4800 block of Hazelwood. This is another URA-owned site. The URA did an RFP for a developer for this about a year ago. The Community Builders, Inc. was selected. This is right on the corner of Hazelwood Avenue and 2nd Avenue in the neighborhood of Hazelwood. It's a mixed income, mixed use. And there's also going to be for sale housing as well through the Community Land Trust. But for today, the action is to for exclusive negotiations for the lot and blocks you see in front of you, so that they can apply for a 44-unit low-income housing tax credit development, where about 80% of it is affordable and the rest is market rate. So that was a lot about 4 developments. Is there any questions?
No question, but I was just gonna say I'm really excited to see stuff in the West. So like hopefully the Ferrywood deal goes through.
Oh, and I should also say that as part of their application, they have funding requests. So the URA will be putting preliminary commitment letters in their tax credit applications. Will come to the board, once they receive credits and their numbers become a little more finalized. That's when we will come to the board for approval of the actual loans.
What's the status of the 5th application that we received? Just not ready yet for board consideration? Or? Yeah.
Yes, there just needs to be some more due diligence with the development team.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions, comments? Yeah. If there are none, then a motion to approve would be in order.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great. The end of housing. That is the end of housing. So moving on to development services, I've got a Greater Hill District Master Plan update from Nick. You gonna present on this?
Thank you. Yep, I'll take this one.
Okay.
So this is a initiative that will update the master plan for the entirety of Pittsburgh's Hill District. The end goal is to have this plan formally adopted by the Planning Commission as the official neighborhood plan. It'll also be incorporated into Forge PGH, which is the city's comprehensive plan. The master plan would provide guidance for development, design, mobility, and infrastructure work occurring in the neighborhood. The authorization today is to enter into, can you go back one slide, please? The authorization is to enter into a contract and related agreements with Eco Northwest LLC or a related entity for an amount not to exceed $250,000 for professional services related to this plan.
Darius.
There's authorization also to enter into a cooperation agreement with the city of Pittsburgh. The key components of this plan include an economic development study, an urban design study, and a site activation plan for the Center Hellman Plaza, which is owned by the URA. The URA issued an RFP for its approved slate of economic development and urban design consultants, which we approved in July 2020. We received a total of 6 proposals, and the consultant selection process was guided by a selection committee chaired by members of the Hill CDC, as well as Councilman Daniel Lavelle. There was also a larger steering committee with a broader range of stakeholders from the community. That committee utilized the feedback to choose the consulting team through a series of interviews and clarifying questions. The accepted proposal meets or exceeds the city and the URA's MWBE participation goals of 18 and 7. Eco Northwest is based out of Portland, Oregon. We have expectations of managing and executing the contract, while staff from the Department of City Planning will provide an overall project management with the consulting team. We have Osei Akinloten here from the Department of City Planning to answer any questions you may have about the process. Funding from this will come from 2 sources. One is CDBG money that the URA has specifically for planning in the Lower Hill, or the Hill District, excuse me. The second one is parking revenues related to the Lower Hill site, which the URA owns.
Just for the group, could someone clarify for me the comment in the chat from the Hill CDC that the LIHTC application for the Hill is supposed to be conditioned on the final DRP approval?
So what I will say, and Nathan can correct me here, but I don't think that we can condition the board's vote on approval of a third party. I think what the board is looking for is an expression of community input. And, the URA encourages any developer that approaches the URA to abide by the community's process. The low income housing tax application, the URA is a steward of that application and not actually the funder. But Nathan, if there's more clarification that would need to be added there, please feel free to weigh in.
No, Diamante, I believe you're correct. These actions are very early in the process. As early as we've ever granted site control, because they're related to the LIHTCs and that's needed. We expect all developers to comply with our disposition process, which includes community engagement and going before the correct community review panels.
And it's also important to note that the expression of community input language is actually in your resolution that will be on the minutes.
That's what I thought. I thought there was some like a conditioned letter for community input. So I just wanted that clarified. Thank you both. Appreciate it. Sorry to cut you off, Osei.
Thanks for that clarification. Any questions around the Hill District Master Plan?
No questions. Just a quick note of thanks. As Nick already mentioned, I do want to thank Co-Chair Marimba Lyons and the Hill CDC for their work. I want to thank all those from the community who spent time vetting these proposals and spent a number of meetings going through this. I also want to thank Director Dash, Osei, Derek, as well as Nick from the city planning and from the URA for all their support on helping me actually think this through and getting to a good place. And so I think we are in a good place and are poised to move forward. So I just want to thank everyone for the work over the last few months.
All right. If there are no other questions or comments, then I think a motion would be in order.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Great. All right, moving on to South Oakland Pittsburgh Technology Center. When he goes in the opposite direction on this one, we're gonna be paid on this one. This is actually good. This is something that we've seen a number of times before, this Elmhurst development, and it's ready for the actual final drawings and sale. So who's going to present on this? Amanda?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. So back in 2018, this board authorized entering into a disposition contract with Elmhurst Development to develop Lot 3 of the Pittsburgh Technology Center. Now authorization is requested to accept Elmhurst's final drawings and final evidence of financing and to execute the deed to Parcel 3 for $1,027,500 plus costs. Closing will be contingent upon the URA's acceptance of the final evidence of financing and a good faith effort waiver for MWBE participation, and it is expected to happen mid-January 2021. So the Elmhurst Innovation Center is a phased development with total project costs amounting to approximately $47.5 million. Once completed, it will bring 175,000 square feet of office, flex tech, research, and light manufacturing space to the Pittsburgh Technology Center. Dependent upon final approvals from the city, the developer will build around 116 parking spaces on site and is also committed to lease 300 spaces at the URA's 925 Technology Drive parking structure that is currently wrapping up its planning phase. Joining us today is Brian Miller, the Elmhurst Group's Director of Development. And Brian, the virtual floor is yours.
Great. I just want to thank everybody for having the project again. I know most of you have seen this before. We're excited. This will be the first project to offer this type of space in the park. So it's something for all of us to look forward to. This has been one of our premier products throughout the county. So I can't see why it wouldn't succeed in this area. So right now, just a big picture. We've been about 2 years in the making on this. We've modeled the building past some of the industrial heritage of the site. So it should give that presence without obviously alluding too far back in time, but it definitely gives that look. Project right now is in the permitting stage with the city of Pittsburgh. We have received our first round of review comments. Most are fairly general, some cleanups, as you can imagine, with the drawings being back and forth for 2 years. But we expect to have a permit hopefully here by the end of the year or shortly thereafter. And if all goes well, we plan to start construction in February of next year. So, right now, the building, I'm not sure how much you want to go into detail with it, just given the time constraints here, but basically there's 2 phases, a west and an east. We'll be constructing the west first towards the city. The buildings are designed for 4 tenants each at most. That would give them full service elevator, stairs, all the egress, as you can imagine, independent entrances, loading docks. It does have a central courtyard. That courtyard will be part of phase 1. You can see that in the picture here now. In a nutshell, that's the project. I could go on and on. We're very excited about it, but if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Any questions from the board? Thoughts, comments?
Yeah. Am I on mute?
We can hear you.
No, sorry. Okay. Comment and a question. One, I fully believe Elmhurst Group can actually pull this off. It's somewhat surprising that they're willing, but also encouraging that they're willing to take a risk because they're essentially building this on spec. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yep.
Okay. So during these days and times, that's challenging. So I want to thank you for that. But I've also seen some of the work you've done in the past. So I'm confident you can pull it off. However, I did hear in the opening remarks that we did not have projected MWB figures on this yet. Is that correct?
We have our preliminary reports issued. We're at 4.7 and 4.6 respectively.
Okay.
Councilman, yes, they've submitted preliminary MWBE reports. I've commissioned a good faith effort review because I believe those numbers can and should be higher, but we want to make sure that they are doing all of the necessary good faith effort steps in order to ensure that we increase MBE and WBE participation where possible.
So thank you both. 4 and 4 is pretty low. I suspect, although I don't know, and Brian, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, that some of that is due to the challenge of working with the unions. If it is, and we can have the conversation offline, I'm more than willing to assist where I can. I've been working with a number of the unions over the last few years, especially as it relates to getting work on the Lower Hill done, that we try to achieve the greatest numbers possible. And I know of some minority subs who are now sort of double-breasted or signatory to the union. So however I can play a role, we definitely want to get those numbers to the highest extent possible. But overall, I'm excited about the project. I think Elmhurst is a great company, but to the extent we can get the NWE numbers higher, I would love to do that.
Sure, we're definitely open to that. That is the reason, the unions, as you noted. So, I mean, not them specifically, but that's our challenge, is to find the contractor that has, both of those requirements, in their books. So, and the project's a sizable project. So there were a couple contractors that looked at it initially, and it's just, the scope is just too big for them. They just haven't done anything to this level. So those are really the main challenges. We did recently have an update from our GC. So we didn't bump them too much, but we went from 4.7 to 4.8. I know that's nothing to brag about, obviously, but we are trying, and we'll continue to update this, and we'll be more than happy to work with you to do whatever we can.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good to hear. I mean, I agree with the councilman. Those are pretty low numbers, pretty far from what the URA's goals are for a project like this. I also agree this would be a great addition to Pittsburgh Technology Center, generally a good project. And this is the kind of work that, frankly, like allows the URA resources to invest in other priorities across other parts of the city. This is doing these kinds of projects can generate revenue that allow us to invest in affordable housing deals and avenues of hope initiatives and other things across the whole rest of the city. So this is good to see and important to see, but also let's get those numbers up.
Sure.
There is a comment in the chat about unbundling, and so I want to clarify that the good faith effort exercise explores the notion of unbundling and how well the developer and GC are able to do that as a part of it's a rigorous review.
And you said that's underway, or just
that's underway, yes.
Okay. Okay, so since we're voting on the agreement of sale here, right? So how will we get an update on if we move this forward today? How will we get an update on where we landed with that and whether it was actually improved?
We will make it a condition of closing. It will be a part of the closing satisfaction.
Okay, great. That works for me. Councilman?
Okay, I'm good.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Thanks. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. Thanks, Brian. And then we're going to go to the Middle Hill for the extension of exclusive negotiations for a number of Center Avenue projects.
Yes. Hello, this is Leah.
Hey,
Today for this item, we're seeking authorization to extend exclusive negotiations for a period of 6 months for the sale of publicly owned parcels to 6 of the Center Avenue developers, including Amani, Salon XO, Studio Volsi, Sankofa Group, Thomas Boyd, and the Communion Place. This extension will allow the developers to continue to conduct their due diligence and build their capital stacks and finalize those other activities. Are there any questions?
No, this is a group of great projects. I think we all really want to see that every one of these succeed.
Yeah, again, I'll simply say thanks to URA staff. I guess I had a meeting with the URA staff, I don't know, maybe close to a month ago now, where we actually went through each one of these projects and talked through how they believe their capital stats could come together, how they believe they could get them over the finish line, but also noted that due to COVID and due to a number of issues, they needed more time to try to figure this all out, as well as trying to work with the state to bridge some gaps. And so Jessica and the whole squad has been very creative in their thinking. So I just want to thank them for their efforts, but this is absolutely necessary. We don't want to let these smaller developments go.
Yeah.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Councilman. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Urban Academy, Jack?
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. This item's for the acceptance of proposal and form of contract for the sale of block 125B, lot 116-1 in the 12th Ward to Urban Academy of Greater Pittsburgh Charter School for $1 plus costs for the creation of a new outdoor play and education green space adjoining the existing building just to the south fronting Meadow Street in Larimer. A couple key features I'd like to point out is that the area is about 15,000 square feet, which comprises the URA owned parcel and a city owned parcel that Urban Academy is pursuing a direct sale from the city, and has a large kind of play area in the middle, an open play area. It's about 4,200 square feet, and 2 outdoor classrooms, one in the north east part of the site and one in the southern kind of third down there. That's a neat kind of amphitheater style. And in the top, or in the northwest area, is a event and kind of performing space there. And surrounding the whole site's 15 newly planted street trees, which I think will look really nice and will be an asset to the community and certainly to the Larimer School. The Urban Academy. And I believe Chase Patterson now from Urban Academy is the Chief Executive Officer, is joining us today to say a couple words. So I'd like to pass it off now to Mr. Patterson.
Thank you, Jack, and thank you to the URA board. It's really been a pleasure for us to work with ML and Jack, and as well as the Larimer Consensus Group. And we're looking forward to continuing our vision to become not only a school in the Larimer community, but to become a school community. And so we are hopeful for the board's support of this resolution as we continue to move forward with our development of a campus in the Larimer neighborhood. I'll take any questions if there are any.
It's great. Any questions from the board?
No, keep up the good work.
Yeah, just wanted to say, man, congratulations and working with the Larimer Consensus Group. They spoke very highly of your participation with them, and I know that y'all had a long-standing relationship, and just congratulations.
Thank you all.
Great. So I think a motion would be in order to move this forward.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. That's great. Thank you very much. And I think our next agenda item is the extension of previous resolutions on Block E of the Lower Hill. Before Julie Edwards presents on this, I just want to kind of I don't know, provide a little bit more context. And Julie, I hope I'm not stealing your thunder at all, but I just wanted to make sure that we're clear on how this action is different from another deadline that came and went and was reported in the Post Gazette yesterday or maybe this morning. So what we're voting on today is the really a vote to remove deadlines that we had previously put into place for the preliminary approval on Block E. That's the entertainment venue and parking garage block in the Lower Hill. We put these deadlines in place really for just the preliminary approval process, and then extended them again back in May of, originally they were put in place in October 2019 and then reaffirmed in May, I think, of 2020. But they're not, the reason we're taking this action today is that those deadlines were not consistent with the option agreement itself, which is the governing agreement for this entire development and lays out the timeline for the development. It's really a cleanup item more than anything else. At the same time that we're doing this as a cleanup measure, you know, and as I said, the option agreement really controls the timeline, but also doesn't allow us to put these kinds of deadlines in place. But at the same time that we're taking this action today, or being asked to take this action today, the developer, PAR, missed a different deadline for the takedown of the first parcel in the development agreement. They asked the URA and they asked the SEA for an extension of the deadline which they missed under the option agreement. We are not extending that deadline. We've already confirmed with the developer that, as has the SEA, that deadline will not be extended, which means under the option agreement that they've got to start escrowing money from the parking revenue, from the on-site parking revenue, you know, until they come into compliance again with the timeline that's in the option agreement. So obviously the same development, two different deadlines. They kind of happened at the same time, but this action item is very different from what the developer requested, which is an extension of their legal obligation under the option agreement. That action does not require board approval because we are simply enforcing the agreement that's already in place, which says that if they don't take down parcels on time, they got to escrow money until they get into compliance. Does that make sense? So I just wanted to make sure that was clear before Julie starts her presentation.
Great.
Sorry, Rep. Gainey, do you have anything you wanted to add?
No, I'm good.
Go ahead, Julie, sorry.
Great. I think you covered it very well. Well said. So yeah, the board action today is seeking authorization to amend a previous resolution to extend the preliminary approval of Lower Hill Developer LLC and the preliminary approval of a conceptual development plan for the takedown of Block E in the Lower Hill with no future expiration date. So again, you know, just to emphasize, this is a cleanup item to ensure that the URA remains in compliance with the terms set forth in the option agreement. It does not extend PAR's deadline to start development. It does not progress any development towards closing, and it does not extend PAR's development rights. The URA board will see the Block E project again before closing to authorize final developer approval and final takedown approval.
Any questions? Thanks, Julie. So, you know, we've got a development agreement. We've got this option agreement. We intend to enforce it. It's what we're bound by. It's what they're bound by. And what we're doing today is making sure that our actions are consistent with the option agreement. You know, and at the same time, our decision not to extend the takedown deadline, which PAR had and missed, is I think was you know, not subject to a board action, fully appropriate given the context and the timeline and the agreement that's in place on our efforts simply to enforce the agreement that we've got. So unless there are further comments or questions, I think a motion would be in order.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Sorry. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Child care conundrum development.
Curriculum
Child care
development.
curriculum development. Man, some of us have a child care conundrum also, as I'm like,
That was a Freudian slip, I think.
Austere to Clay will cover this one for us.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Just a quick update. I'm in the Business Solutions Department, and I've been with the URA for about 1.5 years. So just hello to everyone. So today we're looking at board action for authorization to enter into an agreement with Right Childcare Solutions for an amount not to exceed $20,000 for curriculum services. Next slide, please. Just to provide some background, the curriculum development would be for 2 online virtual childcare courses, which will allow entrepreneurs to receive training and subject matter experts, training from subject matter experts upon completion. They would also have access to funding and funding opportunities. The 2 courses are broken up into beginner and advanced. The beginner courses would be designed for new providers seeking to enter the childcare field. No prior experience as an entrepreneur or as a childcare provider is required. And of course, the advanced course is designated for existing childcare providers, these or centers. Just to provide a little bit of context, prior to COVID, with support from Councilwoman Gross's office, we received funding and support to invest in childcare, the childcare market and childcare entrepreneurs. We currently have a contract with Right Childcare Solutions to offer technical service, technical assistance, and we have a specific loan program for childcare providers. This is taking it a step further. Fortunately, now in this post-COVID world, we did actually receive funding from PNC, as you know, and part of that award was specifically earmarked for childcare. So we were able to take those services to the next level, and as opposed to just providing technical assistance and capital support through lending, we were able to collaborate with our existing partner, Chatham University, to develop an online curriculum. And this component would be paired with their business education through Chatham, but also this curriculum development contract would support the development of the subject matter side of the course. So childcare providers would not only learn the business side of childcare, but also the really nuanced, highly regulated market-specific information. And the goal is to provide safe, accessible, and quality childcare throughout the city. So this program, along with the various capital resources we can provide through our lending department, it's a great partnership to support that initiative. Any questions?
I don't think so. Thanks.
Yeah.
So if there are no questions, then a motion would be in order.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And one final agenda A item.
Yes, we are going to walk the board through a presentation on Southside Works. Crenshaw Sueda will lead us through this one.
Corinne, you there?
Hi all, this is Nathan. Corinne emailed me and is having trouble getting transitioned to a presenter position. So I'm his backup for this one, and we'll walk you all through it.
Hey, Nathan, he should be good to go now.
Oh, Corinne, are you there?
He's in the panelist room. He's just he hasn't unmuted himself.
I think he said that he had some mic issues.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
I'll go ahead, Corinne. You can email me if you get things straightened out and want to present. So 2 actions today. First is authorization to enter into a long-term lease, and the second is authorization to enter into an option agreement. The properties are the 4 parking garages that the URA owns at the Southside Works. And you can see them on this image in front of you. And then a fifth, the open hearth garage in the top left corner. We don't own the entire garage. We own the public parking unit consisting of 262 spaces. So 4 parking garages and 1 condominium unit. Daniel, you can go ahead to the next slide. Oh, that's the only slide.
So, yeah, this is Corinne. I did get
hi, Corinne.
this worked out. Hey, yeah, this was essentially a simple overview of our assets at the Southside Works. I mean, their garages, I think everyone knows what parking garages kind of look like and feel like. They're all very similar. As you may know, Samara Road has been engaging the URA in some discussions as they really have been taking over for SOFR in this area and are investing a lot of money in this area. And obviously they interested in control of some of those parking assets, being able to sublease those spaces and whatnot. So they have been engaging the URA for, I don't know, maybe the last 5-6 months about whether they could actually have more control over these garages that we own. And so we've been engaging with them on a long-term lease. And we did get a third-party appraiser, and I think we hammered out an agreement that would shift our income stream from a direct revenue generated from those leases and I should say the parking leases and the transient parking to a direct master lease with Samara Road. So this board item is just to authorize us to sort of close up those discussions and engage in a master lease agreement that I believe allows the URA to set a floor for what we would be getting every year in income. And then I think the floor is comfortable enough for us to feel good about engaging and moving forward with this discussion.
So just to be clear, these garages generate revenue for the URA every single year. These are a moneymaker for us. We do have outstanding debt associated with it, with some or all of these garages, right? And what we're contemplating here would continue to provide ongoing revenue to the URA. We think, probably a similar amount of money to what we have historically been getting, while removing some degree of unpredictability and potential volatility, especially in the near term, to what that number might be every year. Is that a fair summary?
Exactly. Yes.
Well said.
So right now, as folks can imagine, right now, not that many people are parking down there, right? People aren't going out to eat. People aren't going to work. People aren't really going to shop at whatever few stores actually remain at the Southside Works. And so our revenue for this year is likely not to be what it has been in the past, and our revenue next year might not be what it has been in the past. But so this action would continue to provide ongoing income to the URA, at least as much as what we historically have been used to, while removing that degree of uncertainty, which is if we were sort of I don't know, if we were a company set up to take risks and a group of entrepreneurs, maybe we'd be comfortable with that risk. But to me, this is a good thing to do in order to assure ourselves of income that we can again reinvest in other priorities every single year.
I would also add, this is Greg, I would also add that it also removes not a small amount of administrative burden to the URA staff in terms of having to negotiate these leases. So we're basically master leasing the whole kit and caboodle to Samara Road. And as you said, Sam, stabilizing a revenue stream and kind of hedging against kind of some downward potential trends in the market. I mean, in terms of office leasing and retail leasing, not a lot of good news out there right now. Obviously, Samara thinks that they can improve upon that with some of their new development, but I think under the circumstances, locking in a permanent long-term revenue stream and removing the administrative burden is really a good position for the URA to take at the moment.
we can redivert some of that energy to our more mission-driven activities, which will be critical in 2021, especially as Avenues of Hope and other activities ramp up.
Any other questions or thoughts from the board? Will we see this again once it's final, once the lease is finalized? Does this come back to us or not?
Defer to Nathan.
This currently is not planned on coming back in front of the board again.
Okay.
And only if the terms for the lease that are in the director's report, only if those terms changed.
Got it. Thank you. All right. Any other questions, any comments, any other thoughts from the board?
Just a quick question. Where would we see the money we make off of these leases? Like, where is there a space in our typical report outs that this money would be, visible?
Yes, you will start to see that in the upcoming financial reports that will be provided to the board on a quarterly basis as a part of our audit and compilation.
Awesome. Thank you.
We have been taking, I think, like $500,000 from every year from the income generated by these garages to help to fund the administrative budget of the URA.
That's correct.
And expect to be able to continue to do that, maybe to do at least that, frankly.
Yes, this certainly lends itself to our long-term financial sustainability. We've got more work to do, but we are pivoting in that direction.
Okay. If there are no other questions or thoughts or concerns, then a motion would be in order.
So move.
Thank you, Councilman. Seconded by Representative Gainey. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Great. The motion carries. And do we have an agenda B? Is that it?
We do have an agenda B. It can be adopted in full.
So move.
Motion to adopt agenda B in its entirety by Councilman Lavelle. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Representative. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. I'm going to make one PSA since it's the end of the year and the end of our meeting. I think today we had another day with over 1,100 COVID cases reported in Allegheny County. Just want to say to people, stay safe, keep your loved ones safe, especially as we head into the holiday season. Wear your mask, follow the new guidelines released by the county and the state. Like we got to behave ourselves and get this thing under control. We're in for a horribly harsh winter. And I also want to make sure that anybody watching is also aware that Pittsburgh City Council day before yesterday passed an ordinance providing everyone who works for a company with 50 or more employees in the entire city of Pittsburgh with a guarantee of at least 80 hours, assuming they're a full-time worker, of paid sick leave for any COVID-related illnesses. It's important that word about that gets out because you got to quarantine, or if you have an employee who needs to quarantine because they might have been exposed or they tested positive or they're caring for someone who might have been exposed to the virus or tested positive. It's really important that those quarantine periods be observed. And now workers will get paid and not have to take a pay cut or go unpaid while quarantining. So thanks, Councilman Lavelle. Thanks to your colleagues on council. Thanks to the mayor for ensuring that ordinance passed. I just want to take a moment and make sure that folks in the public are aware of that those paid sick days now exist specifically for COVID-related absences up to 2 weeks. But stay safe. We need a motion to adjourn. Do we need?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. That concludes the meeting. Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Everybody.